How's it going today, guys? Welcome back to the Backyard Dad YouTube channel. Today we're talking about towing with my 2021 Toyota Tundra. I just got back from a 3,000-mile trip from Indiana to Maine, towing my roughly 3,000-pound camper behind me on a family vacation. And I wanted to talk about unlocking kind of the secrets to towing with this platform and monitoring transmission cooler temperatures and getting the best performance out of the truck, okay? If you're new to the platform, 2019 to 2021 Tundras especially did not get an external transmission cooler, okay? And that's garnered a lot of controversy online. Should you add one? Should you not? And for me, I decided to change the transmission fluid and send it on down the road. We spent about 8 days on the road towing over a variety of terrain through the Adirondack Mountains. It wasn't the mountains of Colorado, but I did see some good grades and long stretches of highway there. And what did I see with the transmission cooler temperatures? What did I do to mitigate them? In this video, we're going to talk about that here in just a second. But first, thanks for joining me for a video. Like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends. I do Toyota content. I try and put out a video about once a week. So let's jump into the truck and we'll kind of go through the things that I saw and my experiences with this. All right, guys, so inside the truck here, I'm using a scan gauge to monitor my transmission fluid temperatures and also my overall engine performance as well. So I've got my water temperature, my coolant temperature at 179 degrees right now. My transmission fluid is 152 degrees. That is at the torque converter. And then this allows me to monitor my alternator performance, intake air temperature as well. So what did I do here? Okay. When I went out to Maine, I simply put it in tow haul mode, put the transmission into drive. This is a 6-speed transmission, okay, with a 430 rear end. And that allowed this thing to cruise just below 2,000 RPMs in that drive setting, okay? I saw my transmission fluid temperatures rise as high as 245 degrees. It typically settled in between 225 and 235, but I did see it spike a few different times. So what did I do about it? Well, on the way back, I learned about this, and I knew about it, but I didn't really play with it too much. But I put it in sport mode, which simply allows you to change the transmission as you want. Here you can see it's in the 4th gear. So what does this mean? Well, it means from 1 to 4, it's going to shift as normal, but it's going to top out. It's not going to go above that 4th gear in the transmission, okay? It's basically eliminating the 5th and 6th gear. So my RPMs then will stay between roughly 2,000 and 3,000 RPMs if I'm running, say, 60 to 65 miles an hour. That was kind of the sweet spot. That allowed me to stay right in the power band between 2,000 and 3,000 RPMs, which was really great, especially on the long grades. It was never downshifting. I was right in the power band, so it just sailed right up those passes, no problem. Again, this is not the mountains of Colorado or anything like that. But if I got up at 70, 75, I kind of found myself wanting to shift into the 5th gear, which to do that, you're simply pushing this thing forward and you're now popping that into 5th gear. Same if I'm going back, coming back here, and I'm simply moving that back. You can see the minus sign, and that gets me down to this tops out now in the 3rd gear. I found myself, again, 60 to 65, I was in 4th, and then on up to 70 to 80 miles an hour, I was in 5th. Okay, what this allowed, again, the RPM stayed. It did not downshift nearly as much as it was in drive, and it kept these temperatures really in check. In the 4th gear setting, I was running really no more than 210 degrees on the fluid temperature. It kind of settled in. It kind of settled in around 200 degrees. I saw my water temperature, coolant temperature drop as much as it really sat around 190 to 195 during that time as well. When I shifted into the 5th gear setting, I did see it spike a little bit more. It stayed in the 210s, the teens, 220s, somewhere in there. I never saw it spike again into that 240 range. It really, if it did spike into the 230s, it settled right back down into the 220s fairly quickly. Again, taking out that overdrive gear setting by using these manual shift points. Okay, so look, guys, is this the right answer? Do you need a transmission cooler on your Tundra or Sequoia? For me, I don't think so. Using the manual transmission settings on these things, and I'm shifting it appropriately and keeping that RPM in check and watching my fluid temperatures, I think I'm in good shape. Okay, I'm not towing that often. I'm towing a couple times a year. Granted, they are for a few thousand miles, but I think as long as I'm watching the transmission fluid temps and then also changing the transmission fluid at more frequent intervals, I think that's really going to do me well. If you look online, if you look at the Toyota WS fluid, you look at Valvoline, the different specs that meet Toyota's WS specifications, typically they say protection up to 265 degrees, okay? Over 240, especially for long stretches, you'll start seeing that degrade faster. depending on what you read online and different sources that are out there, you may see some tarnishing and I don't know, the seals harden and different things happen, right? The world's ending if you go over 240. I don't know if that's true or not, but for me, I think the best way to mitigate it is to simply change the transmission fluid more frequently, utilize the manual, the lower gears, especially on the passes where I'm going to see transmission temperatures get elevated, or if I'm going to see some downshifting a lot. And I think that's what I'm going to do going forward. I had a good experience again, not only with the transmission fluid temperatures, but also just in performance in general through the driving range of the truck and towing up those hill sets or those mountains that I hit. Um, it was great. I had no issues, and I think it again arguably, I think it really unlocks the performance of this truck when you're towing, and even in day-to-day traffic too. If you're towing, around town or whatever like that, maybe lock it into that third gear and not let it go above that point. That really, again, keeps you in that sweet spot of the power band. So, disagree with me? Comment, make suggestions, whatever down below in the comments. I'm an open book on this stuff. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know anything about it. It's just I'm a backyard dad trying to figure this out like the rest of us. But that's what I saw. That was my experience. So I hope it helps somebody out there. Appreciate you tuning in. Like, subscribe, and again, comment with your experience. And we'll see you on the next video.